This is the castle of Noggin the Nog. Noggin the Nog lived here a long time ago. Noggin the Nog and his son Knut looked up at the moon and the stars. Knut said, "Are there people on the moon? What is the moon made of?" Noggin said, "I do not know. It looks like a big lump of cheese shining in the sky, but I do not think it is a lump of cheese." Queen Nuka called to them, "It's bedtime for Knut. Tomorrow he's to lead old Fatty to the new horse trough. He must come in now and go to bed." The next morning the woodworkers and the bricklayers were up early. They finished the new horse trough in the town square and filled it with water. Old Fatty was Noggin's horse. Knut put on his best clothes and led old Fatty to the town square. Old Fatty was going to be the very first horse to drink at the new horse trough. As Knut led old Fatty to the new horse trough, the band played loud music on their big curly trumpets. Suddenly, they all stopped playing and looked up. A thing was falling from the sky, a round, shiny silver thing. The thing landed in the new horse trough with a splash that made all the people and old Fatty very wet. The thing looked like a silver ball. It lay in the horse trough. It did not move. It made noises. It blew bubbles. The Nogs were afraid. They hid behind a wall. Thornogson said, "I think there's something inside that thing." Then the top of the ball lifted up. Out climbed an animal. It looked like a mouse, a very large mouse with a very long nose. The mouse was wearing a coat. It climbed down and drank at the new horse trough. Noggin said, "Speak to it, Thornogson. Go and ask it why it has come here." "Do not be afraid, Thornogson." But Thornogson was afraid. Thornogson drew his sword. He went to speak to the mouse, but he held his sword in front of him. The mouse touched the point of the sword. The point of the sword was sharp. The mouse squeaked and ran away. "Come back, mouse!" shouted the children as they ran after it. "Come back, little mouse!" The mouse ran faster. It didn't like to be chased by children and dogs. The mouse saw a tree with a hole near the top of it. It ran up the tree and jumped into the hole. It looked out of the hole and saw the children and dogs looking up. Knut said, "We will soon catch that mouse." He fetched a bird cage. The children stood on each other's shoulders so that he could climb up. "Come out, little mouse," said Knut. "Come out, we will not hurt you." Knut put his hand into the hole. "Ow! It bites!" he shouted. Knut took hold of the mouse by the scruff of its neck and lifted it out of the hole. He put the mouse in the cage and shut the door. "What are you doing?" shouted Noggin. "What have you done?" shouted Nuka. The children said, "Knut climbed up and caught the mouse for you. Here it is in a cage." "You must not do things like that," said Nuka. "The mouse has come to see us. We must not chase it into a hole and put it in a cage." Nuka opened the door of the cage. Knut said, "Be careful, it bites." Nuka said, "It will not bite me." The mouse did not bite Nuka. The mouse sat on Nuka's hand. "Come into the castle, little mouse. We will try and find you something nice to eat," she said. Noggin gave the mouse a biscuit. It did not like biscuits. "Do you like jam?" asked Knut. The mouse put out its tongue and tasted the jam. It hated the taste of jam. Nuka gave it a hot sausage. "Ugh!" it cried and jumped onto the windowsill. The mouse looked out and saw something it liked. It jumped out of the window. Noggin and Nukin and Knut ran down into the garden. They found the mouse in the flower bed. The mouse was eating moon daisies. The mouse liked eating moon daisies. Nuka said to the mouse, "Where do you come from?" The mouse pointed to the moon. "So you are a moon mouse," said Nuka. "Do you want to go back to the moon, or do you want to stay here?" The mouse did not answer. It took Nuka's hand and pulled. Together they ran to the town. The moon mouse led Nuka to the grocer's shop. It climbed on the counter and looked along the shelves. It chose some oil. It chose some vinegar. It chose a big box of soap flakes. The moon mouse led the way back to the horse trough. Noggin and Nuka followed. After them came the grocer, who carried the jar of oil, Knut, who carried the box of soap flakes, and the grocer's brother, who carried a jug of vinegar, and a little girl who carried a funnel. The moon mouse climbed onto the horse trough. It pulled out the stoppers of 3 holes in the silver ball. Into one hole it poured vinegar. Into another hole it poured oil. Into the 3rd hole it poured the soap flakes. Knut and the other children picked a lot of moon daisies. They gave the moon daisies to the moon mouse to eat on the way home. The moon mouse climbed into the ball. It took out a bright stone and gave it to Nuka. It was a jewel, a moonstone. "Goodbye, mouse," said Noggin and Nuka. "Do come and see us again." Noggin shook hands with the mouse. The mouse closed the lid. The silver ball made noises. It blew bubbles. The band played loud music. The Nog shouted, "Goodbye, moon mouse. Go home safely. Goodbye, goodbye." The silver ball gurgled and roared. Suddenly it shot up into the sky on top of a cloud of bubbles, which covered the Nogs and filled the curly trumpets of the band. By the time they blew away the bubbles, the silver ball and the mouse were gone.